Hi Senior 4, how are you today? This video belongs to class 14 in which we are going to study conditionals, which seems like a very scary subject, but it is not so much, I promise. So to begin with, I would like to refresh a concept that we studied when we studied future tenses that were called future clauses. When we studied that, I told you that clauses are basically the parts of a sentence. In this case, just like we did when we work with future clauses, our conditional sentences are going to have two parts or two clauses. Let's first see an example of a future clause. I told you that in future clauses we're always going to have a part of the sentence that was going to have a connector of time, and then we were going to use the simple present after the linker of time, and then there was going to be a result that was going to be in the future. So I could say something like, when I finish my work, I will go for a walk. And I told you that these two parts of the sentence could be combined, podían estar unidas por either the connector of time or a comma, or they can be put the other way around. I can have first the result, I will go for a walk, and then the condition, when I finish my work. Conditional sentences are going to work in exactly the same way. They are going to have two parts, two clauses. One is going to be the conditional part, the conditional clause, the condition, and the second part of the sentence is going to be the result. Entonces, siempre que hablamos de conditionals, vamos a tener dos partes en esa oración. Una parte que es la condición que se tiene que concretar para que después se dé un resultado. ¿Sí? So, basically, we start from that concept. Conditional sentences always have two parts, okay? A condition and a result. Now, let's see why there are different types of conditionals in English. Porque todos ustedes deben saber ya que en inglés hay conditional 1, 2, 3. Hay otros. Nosotros nos vamos a concentrar en estudiar 1, 2, and 3 this time. But there are more. No spoilers. So, why are there different types of conditionals? Well, the type of conditional is going to depend on how possible that condition and that result are. ¿Okay? Va a depender el tipo de condicional en cuán posible es que esa condición y ese resultado se den. Vamos a ver de qué depende ese nivel de posibilidad y cómo los utilizamos. So, first let's begin with the simplest one, which is the conditional number 1. So, on conditional number 1, we are working with possible conditions and possible results. ¿Qué significa esto? Que cuando usamos el conditional 1, vamos a estar hablando de situaciones en el presente, in the present, that are very possible. ¿Por qué son posibles? Por el contexto, por el mensaje que ustedes quieren transmitir. Sí, pero que lo que tiene que estar bien claro es que son situaciones en el presente que es muy posible que sucedan. So, let's see the structure. So, because this is very possible to happen, we are going to use if or unless. Now I will talk about unless, but give me a minute. If or unless plus the simple present for the condition plus the future simple will for the possible result. Siempre teniendo en cuenta que la lógica de esta estructura es que para que una possible condition se dé en el presente, va a tener que tener un resultado futuro, ¿sí? Si la condición se cumple en el presente, if the possible present condition is fulfilled, then there will be a result in the future. Obviamente vamos a usar will porque este resultado del futuro depende de que la condición se cumpla. So we can't use going to because this is not a plan. This is a possible result. So we are going to use will. Let's look at the example. If you leave, I will go too. Si te vas, yo me voy a ir. If you leave, I will go too. So condition part and future result. Obviously, because these are clauses, we can change the order. I can say something like, I will go to if you leave, okay? So the two parts of the sentence can be connected by a comma or by if. De la forma que ustedes quieran. Las pueden hacer de una manera o de la otra. The important thing about conditional one is to understand that we use the present and the future because this situation is very possible. Now let's take a look at unless. What is unless? So unless, lo primero que tenemos que saber es que significa a menos que. And unless, as you can see in the word, has a negative part. On is a negative prefix, un prefijo negativo. So this word is already negative in itself. It's just a negative word, okay? It's not positive. So unless is the same thing as saying if plus a verb in the negative form. So it is the same to say if I don't study than to say unless I study. So if plus a negative verb is the same as saying unless plus an affirmative verb. I can't use the negative here again because unless already has a negative part, okay? So that's why the following verb goes in the affirmative form, okay? Good. Now, let's move on to conditional number two. So, conditional number two is for imaginary situations, okay? El inglés es algo muy extraño, que es que para hablar de cosas que son irreales, imaginarias, usa el simple past. ¿Por qué? Porque sí, there is no explanation for that. So, if the situation that we are talking about in the present, si estamos hablando de una situación en el presente, which is unreal, irreal, or imaginary, imaginaria, so it's very difficult that this situation happens, es muy difícil que suceda esta situación, vamos a usar el simple past. So for conditional two, we are going to use the simple past. So the conditional two is going to be composed by two parts, an imaginary condition and an imaginary result. So we're going to use if plus the simple past, because this is imaginary and that is what English does, and would, which is the past of will. So, fíjense que si era muy probable, usábamos presente y will. Mientras más improbable se vuelve la situación, más atrás en el tiempo se va. Entonces pasamos de probable present a improbable imaginary past. Esto es así, es porque sí. Que el verbo esté en el pasado no quiere decir que la situación esté en el pasado, solo quiere decir que en el presente esa situación es imaginaria e improbable. So, let's look at an example. If I won the lottery, I would buy a house. Is it probable that I will win the lottery tomorrow? I don't think so. It's imaginary. I am imagining in the present what my life would be like. So, if I won the lottery, si me ganara la lotería, I would buy a house. Me compraría una casa. But this is improbable because this situation is imaginary. I am not sure this is going to happen. I'm just imagining improbable things. Now, let's move on to conditional number 3. This one is difficult, but listen to me. The conditional 3 is the only conditional that we are going to use for a past situation. So, for now, we have conditional 1, present probable situation, and conditional 2, present improbable situation. But now, we are going to talk about past situations, situaciones en el pasado que nos hubieran gustado que fuera de otra manera, pero no fueron. Por eso, al conditional number 3, lo solemos llamar el condicional imposible. But why is it impossible? Because, people, we can't change the past. No podemos cambiar el pasado. Entonces, por eso lo llamamos el condicional imposible. porque solamente se usa para situaciones del pasado sobre las cuales probablemente nos estamos lamentando. We regret, lamentamos, we regret those situations. Let's take a look at the structure. So, we are going to have an impossible past condition plus an impossible past result. Ninguna de estas situaciones sucedieron de esa manera. Están en el pasado y fueron diferentes. Let's look at the structure. If plus past perfect plus would plus have plus the third column. If más past perfect más would más have más tercera columna. Fíjense cómo nos fuimos moviendo en el tiempo. If the situation was very probable, is very probable in the present, conditional one, present and future. If the situation in the present is imaginary, improbable, hacemos un pasito para atrás y usamos simple past y would, el pasado de will. Y si la situación ya es imposible porque no podemos cambiar el pasado y nos estamos refiriendo a una situación del past, vamos a irnos un paso más para atrás y nos vamos a ir al past perfect y a would le vamos a agregar have para que se vuelva más pasado todavía. So let's look at example. If I had studied, I would have passed the exam. Pero ni estudié ni aprobé. So, unreal past situation, impossible past situation, and impossible past result. If I had studied, I would have passed the exam. Pero ninguna de estas situaciones se dieron de esa manera. That is why this conditional is called the impossible one. Alright? Because we can't change the past. Okay, people, I don't want to keep you any longer. That's it for now. Those are the 3 types of conditionals that we are going to be working with. And remember about unless. All of this is included in your class. I will be waiting for your questions and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!